The 8 most abysmal motorists in the entire country checked themselves into our rehabilitation center 7 episodes ago. Now, after hours and hours of lessons and tests, there's only 3 of them left. At the end of this show, though, there won't be anyone left because we're closing the rehab center for another season. Before we shut the doors, though, we will be handing out this embarrassing trophy to the person most deserving of the shameful title, Canada's Worst Driver. Here at the Driver Rehabilitation Center, our panel of experts have been witnessing some truly terrible car handling.
Whoa, man. Whoa. Oh, that's not good.
That's our head driving instructor, Tim Danter, sitting next to our therapist, Shamala Kiru. We also have Philippe Letourneau, and of course our legal expert, Cam Woolley.
If we were better drivers, we could save some lives.
Today, our experts will be naming one of these 3 people Canada's worst driver. From Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu, Quebec.
Comfortable?
No, I'm not comfortable.
We have Diane. Before we met Diane, she had only used her license to drive 30 kilometers.
Try to increase your speed a little bit.
No, this is it.
Try-
This is it.
try.
Too bad. Let the
Increase your
pass.
speed a little bit.
No, Steph. That's it. That's it. It's dangerous.
The next driver we have lives in Edmonton, Alberta. New Canadian Flora was enrolled in our rehab center by her husband, Frank.
Be faster. If you want to be emerged, you must be faster. Speed up. Speed up. Speed up.
I'm turning the curve.
And the last Canada's Worst Driver finalist hails from McBride, British Columbia. Kevin has a right eye that's made of glass.
Whoops. Whoa. What lane am I in? You're actually in 2 right now? Oh. I believe Kevin needs some serious driver training, and he needs to become a better driver if he wants to continue to drive.
Serious driver training is what everybody got at our rehabilitation center. And they got a serious amount of it. But the lessons are over, and the testing is about to begin. To determine the identity of Canada's worst driver, we're going to do 3 driving challenges this episode. And the first is a forward and then backward slalom that might just bring a tear to the eye of any cab driver watching. Because the real loser in this exam might very well be our iconic New York City taxi. I'll show you how this forward and reverse slalom challenge is done. Ooh, I love doing the slalom. Don't go too fast or you won't be able to make the turns. Ooh. Just pause. To make the turns, you have to hold the wheel correctly. We often talk about imagining the wheel as a clock. If you hold it in the 9 and 3 position, you can swerve without ever having to let go. This is not a speed limit thing, this is a time thing. Drivers have to get up and back in less than 50 seconds. Now I've gone too far, haven't I? Zip. No, I haven't, or have I? I got way further than I should have on that forward part, and now I'm swinging too wide. Pause again. Even though I have swung too wide, I've never let go of the steering wheel because I'm holding it in the correct reversing position, 12 o'clock. Come on, young husband. Canada's worst drivers learned how to reverse and how to go forward, so this should be no problem for them. Time
43.
43 seconds. Now, let's see if Canada's worst drivers can get back and forth on time. Kevin is up first, and his competition is in the car with him. Here he goes, run number 1. Instead of holding the wheel correctly, Kevin is trying to steer hand over hand, and the results are predictable.
Way too fast.
Too fast.
I tell Kevin to slow down and to hold the wheel correctly. Here we go, buddy. And his second run starts off much better.
Good.
When it comes to reversing, though,
Too sharp. It's too sharp.
Kevin isn't turning his head enough. Just pause. Kevin's blind eye is the only one in sight, which means
Look where you want to go.
Kevin can't see where he's going. Oh. Kevin doesn't look where he wants to go on his third attempt.
Sorry.
Okay.
Or his fourth attempt. And his fifth attempt is even worse.
It's turning 180 degrees.
Hoping for good luck is no substitute for looking where you want to go.
Not again! Why the do I keep doing that?
Look where you want to go. And your hands were not at noon. You had both, and you were just steering, going look from side to side.
There's blind spots, and then there's Kevin.
This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous.
This challenge is not hard. In fact, it's quite easy, but
No, I'm not getting it. I'm not getting it. Damn it!
Kevin hits something on each of his first 9 runs.
No.
You guys want a souvenir?
Has one last chance.
Yeah, I'm gonna go talk to him. I believe in you. I believe in you. Yeah, okay, all right. You're gonna do this, okay? Promise me?
I can't promise you, because if I promise you and I don't do it, then it's another broken promise.
Yeah, he's totally defeated.
And there we go. Kevin's last run. Kevin's last run is over almost immediately. Kevin might be Canada's worst driver.
Give me a hug.
Can't do it.
It's just the pressure got to you, okay? Okay.
When we get the bumper back on the car, Diane gets ready to go.
So nervous.
Let's go, baby.
There she goes.
I'm worried now.
There's nothing to worry about on the forward portion. Diane does it perfectly.
It's wonderful.
But on the reverse,
Now I gotta go push. Ow!
Diane clips a pedestrian. Aish! Before Diane continues, she has Kevin and Flora switch seats.
Okay, you're good?
Here we go, that's faster. And that seems to have a positive effect. She starts the reverse section with time to spare. 15 seconds left, can she make it?
Faster.
10 seconds left. Come on, Diane. 5, 4, 3, 2. Yes!
Yes, baby!
You did it!
Diane has learned a lot in rehab. You're not Canada's worst driver, are you?
No.
Flora hasn't improved as much as her husband was hoping.
So what do you think, Frank? Flora's gonna make it?
No.
There goes Flora. Flora can't do worse than Kevin, can she?
Oh, ho, 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 ho.
Man alive, I don't know who's worse, her or Kevin. Like Kevin, when Flora drives backwards, she gets the death wobbles, and she can't keep the car on the road.
Reverse is always a problem.
On Flora's third run, she hits a guy. On her fourth run, she goes off the road again.
180.
And on her fifth attempt, she sideswipes a pedestrian.
Oh, ye front end swing, see?
I'm not sure who's worse, Flora or Kevin.
Flora's going off the road more often than Kevin.
Where's she going?
And Flora's hitting more obstacles than Kevin.
No.
So, if Canada's worst driver was decided by just this challenge,
Oh, sorry.
Flora would be Canada's worst driver.
But I feel I'm improving.
Really?
When we come back, it's time for our annual Mega Challenge.
No.
"22 challenges have led Canada's worst drivers to this nerve-wracking moment. Our course builders are out there right now, putting the finishing touches on one final test that will call upon elements of every lesson that the drivers have learned here in rehab. And we call this final challenge, well, you know what we call it, the Mega Challenge! I'll show you how it's done. This year's Mega Challenge starts with a bang. I head off to the eye of the needle for a 70-kilometer-an-hour romp to prove the point of looking where you want to go. I want to go through the arches, so I look through them. Hold my speed at 70. I duck every time. I can't not do it. Then when I get to here, I have to avoid a pedestrian. Whoa! Then enter the precision steering section. This year, the precision steering section is wider than usual, but still requires intense focus. I'm looking where I want to go, which is a lot of places. Before I begin the reverse section, I need to shift the car laterally to the right. So, I do an S-turn to reposition. I wind my front end swing to make sure I don't hit there. And I reverse, paying close attention to my mirrors. Mirrors, 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 mirrors. I'll tell you, if anybody has learned to be a good driver from the rehab center, it's me. The Mega Challenge ends with two high-performance driving techniques. The first is a reverse spin around, which requires turning the wheel one way and then fully the other. Zumba, like that. And just when you think it's over, there's one more piece of excitement. It is my favorite 180 handbrake spin around. And that, my friends, is our 1 kilometer-long Mega Challenge course. Flora has repeatedly been told to watch her own speed, but Flora insists on Frank watching her speed.
How's the speed?
60.
Flora taps the first two arches, and she slaughters the third. And speaking of slaughtering,
Oh, I hate him.
Flora slaughters the precision steering section. And when she gets to the section marked
Worse.
the slaughtering continues.
Before this challenge started, I told them that I could move any single thing that got in their way. And still this.
Oh.
Don't tell me she's gonna go forward now.
When Flora finally gets through the reversing section, it's time for the reverse 180.
I'll watch the speed for you.
Flora may be watching where she's going, but she is not processing what she's seeing.
Ah, dear.
Flora attempted to turn around before she got to the turnaround area.
I turned too early.
Will we try the forward 180?
Okay.
On the forward 180, Flora barely turns at all. Flora might be Canada's worst driver.
Canada's worst driver.
When we come back,
Kevin?
Kevin and Diane take their runs at the Mega Challenge.
Again, for the forward 180, oh my God.
It's the final episode of Canada's Worst Driver, Season 8. And Diane is about to run our Mega Challenge course. On the 70k an hour Eye of the Needle, Diane clips the first arch. And then she speeds up.
Stop accelerating. Stop accelerating. Stop accelerating.
I am.
It's okay. No, don't panic. Don't panic. Don't panic. The baby. The baby. The baby. The baby.
With the high-speed steering section behind her, Diane hits the precision steering section.
Canada's worst driver.
No, she's not. In the reverse section, she only hits one stack of rims.
Way to go, Diane.
And in the high-performance driving section, she does the reverse 180. Yeah, almost. And she wastes no time headed for the forward 180, which doesn't go quite so well. Diane didn't do as well as I thought she would.
Right, it didn't go well.
Kevin gets some encouragement before his run.
I love you very much, okay? And I want you just to try your best, okay?
And I will.
Sadly, Kevin's best might be Canada's worst. Instead of going 70, Kevin's going 100!
Whoa!
In the precision steering section,
Look where you want to go.
Kevin is hitting practically everything without even slowing down. Or, to put it more succinctly,
He's driving like a bulldozer in a landfill.
Okay, now I gotta reverse.
Oh, I can hear that Mustang engine rev. That means badness is about to ensue.
it's so bad, Kevin gets stuck.
No, she ain't moving. Oh. Well, there's your problem.
Kevin's problem is, he's still not looking where he wants to go.
Not exactly making the rehab center proud. Over things still? If you drive in British Columbia, keep an eye out for Kevin. He's keeping one out for you. Too much?
The 180-degree spin-out maneuver is too much for Kevin.
All right, Kevin. The sun is setting on your rehab center experience.
For the forward 180, Kevin gets going too fast, and instead of doing a handbrake turn, he hits the foot brake. And he skids out of control.
No.
Kevin might be Canada's worst driver.
Maybe it was a fluke that I got my license.
When we come back,
I'm nervous.
Canada's worst drivers have their final challenge in public.
You never want to be driving on the sidewalk.
Our best car on this season of Canada's Worst Driver was a shiny new Mustang. And we had planned on using it in our final challenge, the public drive. But
This car is obviously too banged up to be driven in public, so we went out and rented them this powerful Mustang that's identical to the one they beat up. Shh, don't tell the rental company what we're doing with it.
specifically, what we're doing with it is letting Canada's worst drivers take it on a 1-hour tour of Hamilton, through some downtown intersections, around some residential areas, and ultimately, yikes, onto the highway. Diane will drive first.
Final road test.
Yes.
When Diane pulls onto the public street, I provide her first direction.
Left on Cannon Street.
And that's the way this challenge will go. As soon as drivers make a correct turn, I'll give them their next direction.
You're gonna go right on James Street.
It's the driver's responsibility to find their turn. If they miss it, I'll tell them immediately.
You're good. You're gonna go left on Mulberry Street.
There are 29 turns on today's route,
No problem.
and Diane makes the first 10 turns flawlessly.
That's good.
Experiencing the Driver Rehabilitation Center really worked for Diane.
I never thought of myself as a driver, and yes, and now I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I'm a driver. I got the skills. I acquired the skills.
It's empowering, eh?
Yeah, it is. It is. It totally made me like a kind of like a complete person.
Wow.
This is probably the best compliment the rehab center's ever got.
It's okay. Nothing is there. So left, right.
You're doing flawlessly, Diane. Flawlessly.
And for the next 10 turns,
That's good.
Diane keeps doing flawlessly.
Beware, we're coming up to the highway. You ready for this? Yeah?
Oh yeah.
It's a good thing she's ready, because Diane is there.
You okay?
I'm nervous.
On the on-ramp, Diane sees the traffic she has to merge into, but she stays calm and focused.
Perfect. Beautiful.
The only thing that could make this more beautiful would be if Diane could go the speed limit.
Just bring it right up to 90. We don't want everybody passing us this fast.
By the time Diane gets up to 90, that's no longer fast enough.
Now we're in a 100-kilometer-an-hour zone, so we want to take it up to 100. Let's go there.
Diane does go there.
How fast are you doing?
100.
It's the new you.
It's the new me. I don't think I've done 100.
You've never done 100?
No.
Now Diane's doing perfect lane changes at 100.
We're not even done this drive, and I'm here to say you are rehabilitated.
Oh, thank you.
She may be rehabilitated, but she's also very relieved to get us off the highway. As she heads for the finish,
Excellent.
Diane's driving is still flawless.
And that is it.
Diane's big city drive is done.
Oh,
I know
Andrew.
someone who's not Canada's worst driver.
Oh, thank you. I am just feeling so good.
Diane should feel good. She's got newfound freedom.
Well, you changed my life. You changed my family's, and you changed it. Thank you.
That's the best news I could ever
Thank you so much.
could ever hope to hear.
Thank you.
Diane might be the best student we've ever had.
I did it. I did it. 100. I have 100. Thank you.
Happy, baby.
Thank you. Thank you, baby. I'm so happy, Stefan.
Flora's public drive is next.
Okay, let's go.
Let's go.
Flora goes around the first corner correctly, but then things start falling apart.
Now you're basically stopped at a green light, so...
Flora doesn't communicate with other drivers.
Okay, did you signal in when you changed lanes?
No.
She doesn't know which lane she's in.
So if you're going to turn left, which lane should you be in?
Left lane.
So do you know that you're not in the left lane?
I might. Oh, I'm.
And she can't recognize a two-way street.
This is 2 lanes. You need to give him enough room.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Flora now assumes she's at a 4-way stop. Bad assumption.
Chloe, I should go.
Well, no, stop. This is not a 4-way. This is not a 4-way. He doesn't have a stop sign. Do you see a stop sign for him?
But if there's one mistake that Flora makes more than any other, it is.
You're stopped at a green light. You're stopped at a green light?
Yes.
Yes.
Flora stops at almost every intersection.
Now we're stopped at a green light again. We're stopping at a green light again.
I've seen glaciers move faster than her.
Now the Glacier wants to turn right.
You're stopped dead in the middle of the road.
Without checking to her right, Flora tries to make the turn.
And now you turned across the lane into front of this person. Did you look where you were going when you turned there?
No.
A few blocks later, Flora misses her turn, which means
You have to get back onto James Street, so you're able to turn right on King Street West. That is very close to that bus.
Sorry.
to get back on track, Flora gets into a clearly marked right turn lane, but she wants to go straight through the oncoming traffic of a bus depot.
Well, that big red circle with the big slash means no entrance.
How can I get out?
Flora doesn't get out. Not right away, at least. But after 30 seconds, she does manage to get turned 90 degrees, and she drives along the crosswalk.
Sorry. You go ahead. Okay.
A few minutes later, Flora wants to turn right, but
Can I turn? No.
she thinks this arrow on a real estate sign indicates a one-way street.
One way.
A few minutes after that, Flora misunderstands another sign.
Where are you going? You have a red light.
Turn to right.
You see that sign right in front of you?
Yeah.
What does that sign say?
Both these signs say you can't turn right on a red light.
We're right in the middle of the crosswalk. Don't move.
I'm sorry.
Don't move.
Just wait a minute.
You know what I can't stand? I can't stand it when people drive on the wrong side of the road, which is what Flora's doing now.
Okay, so do you see that yellow line there? This means that you're in the oncoming traffic lane.
Right.
That car is facing you because you're in his lane. Oh my God is correct.
I'm really not looking forward to being on the highway with Flora.
That's a red light. You're going right in through an intersection in the middle of a red light.
I'm the worst driver.
When we come back,
I don't know what to do.
Flora hits the highway. And Kevin hits something. Canada's worst drivers are doing their final big city road test.
You're stopped at a green light.
Yes.
And Flora's en route to the highway. But maneuvering to the left lane to hit the on-ramp is overwhelming her.
I don't know what to do.
What Flora does is practically stop.
You cannot stop here. You cannot. You're gonna turn left. Turn left if it's safe. Turn left if it's safe. Turn left if it's safe. Okay, so you missed it. We'll come back. We'll come back.
Oh, that way. Oh.
Yeah, that's what I meant by turn left, turn left, turn left.
10 minutes later, we're on the on-ramp.
You're slowing down, and that's what we talked about not doing, right? Because you need to enter the flow. They're going at over 100, Flora. You need to enter the flow.
Luckily, there's a massive gap in the flow as we slowly approach.
It's good.
Thanks be to God. How fast are you going and how fast are you allowed to go?
I'm 80 and
Good.
the speed is 90.
Flora never really goes fast enough. Until
Slow down, please, Flora.
we're on the exit ramp.
That's it for the highway. That's it. Okay.
Okay.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Flora's not okay.
Wow. I'm all over.
Yeah, you're all over the road.
But thankfully, this drive is done.
That's the way I park.
This is the way you park? Overall, out of 10, how would you score that drive?
2?
Flora might be Canada's worst driver.
There is some quite several close calls. I feel I'm quite close to the dice.
Kevin doesn't have a clear understanding of where his car is.
How many lanes are you in right now?
I'm in one lane.
No, my friend.
And he doesn't have a good understanding of where other cars are.
You're stopped at a green light. You're stopped at a green light. So that's where you have to go. Stop. What are you doing, man?
You said I was stopped at a green light?
You are stopped at a green light, but why are you turning into the oncoming traffic?
Trying to get back to the McNabb turnoff,
Oop, that's
Whoa,
not gonna
whoa.
work.
Kevin repeatedly tries turning left from the inside lane.
Okay, I'm gonna make this turn here.
You're not in the turn lane.
Kevin's not in the turning lane now either.
You're not in the turning lane. You're not in the turning lane.
We all know that Kevin is blind in his right eye.
Did you just go right through a stop sign without
I
stopping?
didn't see a stop sign.
Well, it was that big octagonal red thing.
But being blind in one eye is no excuse for missing obvious signs.
Okay, looks like I'm safe to go.
Kevin doesn't just miss signs like this one. He sometimes misses entire traffic lights.
Buddy, do you see that red light?
No, I did not.
How did you not see that red light?
Kevin never sees anything on his right side because
See these pedestrians?
Ah,
They have the right of
now
way.
I do.
Okay. Now, you did not see them, did you?
No, I did not.
Kevin's non-turning head is a big problem.
Do you see me moving at all?
No.
What does this guy see?
So I have to go over here. Right? I'm confused here.
You sure are. You're stopped in the middle of a road.
I'll just go this way.
Where are you going now? That's the oncoming traffic lane, my friend.
I think Kevin should quit driving.
That's a red light! Oh. Seriously, should you drive?
I'd be lying if I said yes, but I really don't want to say no either.
I'd be lying if I said I wanted to be on the highway with Kevin. But that's my job. And here we go.
This is where you're going to have to look over your left shoulder to see if anything's coming. There you go. Anything coming?
No.
Then signal and enter. Very good. Now we're on the highway. Okay.
Holy moly indeed. Even on the highway, Kevin is never turning his head to see what's happening to his right.
You really need to start turning your head so you can understand what's happening to your right side.
Yes, I know I do.
Thankfully, Kevin makes it safely to the exit ramp.
What did that sign say?
40 kilometers.
And how fast are you going?
60.
Back in the city, Kevin turns right from the inside lane again.
So you check the lane that you just cut off or not?
No.
And that's not the only thing bad about that turn.
What do you think is going weird here?
One way.
Eventually, Kevin does get us back unharmed.
Okay, we're back.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Kevin might be Canada's worst driver.
But I don't think you should drive.
When we come back,
Should you be a driver?
I really don't even know how to answer that.
the experts and I decide who is Canada's worst driver. It's time to name Canada's worst driver, based on today's 3 challenges.
Should you drive?
I'd be lying if I said yes, but I really don't want to say no either.
But before that happens, our experts have a serious message for Kevin.
I don't think, Kevin, you should be driving.
You shouldn't be on public roads.
Well, I do disagree with that. I mean, as long as I hold a valid driver's license, I will continue to drive.
Flora is also not going to quit driving, even though our experts think she should too.
Flora, I think it's time to hand in your license.
You shouldn't be driving.
Although you keep talking like I need to stop driving. No, I need to drive. That's the skill everybody get. I don't think I couldn't grasp. I will try harder.
No one thinks Diane should give up her license. She's this year's most improved driver.
You changed my life, you changed my husband's life. I mean, it just made us stronger as a couple with this experience. Really, it's been life-changing, really.
It's time to decide who is Canada's worst driver. Flora or Kevin?
Who's the worst driver here?
Kevin.
Shamla?
I think they're both absolutely terrible, honestly. And are you sure we can't say that they're both terrible drivers and should give up their licenses? And
Somebody has to be worst. We're in the judgment game.
For me, they're equally bad, but in different ways. It's a difficult one. I think for me, Kevin, at the end of the day, is the worst. I'm not saying Flora won't hit me.
I think it's Flora this time. And I'm just looking at the vacuous way she behaved on the public roads. She was totally unaware of going through red lights, going through stop signs, stopping at green lights. She said she was understanding. She said she got the training, but she was totally clueless. I think she is Canada's worst driver.
Shamla, go time.
I'm going to go with Flora.
Because?
And I actually can't believe I'm saying that because I think Kevin is almost just as terrible. Flora wins it for me, though, because I think driving home today, like going back on the roads today, she's actually going to be a more dangerous driver.
All right, classic dead heat. And once again, it comes down to me to make the ugly decision. Why don't you just try once again to convince me, because I'm not going to let this end in a tie. Well, that's it for the final episode of our series this year, which means it's time for me to hand out this shameful trophy to Canada's worst driver. Let's start with the obvious. Diane!
Yes.
You're not Canada's worst driver. No, you're totally rehabilitated. In fact, you're what our rehabilitation center is all about. So I am proudly and happily going to give you back your license with all of my best wishes.
Thank you so much. It's like I'm a different person now. Like I never thought of myself as a driver. And it's just something that I was able to accomplish being in rehab.
Before coming to rehab, Diane was afraid of an empty road.
Oh God, and there's a truck on the road. I could see it.
Don't think about it.
This is ridiculous.
In rehab, Diane got off to a shaky start, failing almost all of the early challenges. In fact, Diane failed so often, she was actually looking forward to quitting driving.
And I really don't care if I'm Canada's worst driver. Like, really. Like, I really don't care at this point.
But Diane stuck with it, and things started to change.
Got it! Yeah!
In the end, Diane was able to take all the skills she learned in rehab.
Yes! You did it!
And then apply those skills on public roads.
And now I'm a driver. It's like a total transformation.
Way to go. Congratulations.
What I'd like to do right now is tell Kevin and Flora that I'm never, ever giving them their driver's licenses back. But
As licensed drivers, I actually have no authority to hold your driver's license. So I just will right now, with a heavy heart, give you your driver's license back. The only thing I can do at this stage is say, Canada's worst driver is both of you. For the first time in the history of our rehabilitation center, we have a tie.
Wow.
So, Flora, I'll give you this part of the trophy. And Kevin, I'll give you this part of the trophy.
I didn't want to declare a tie. But what was I supposed to do? Kevin and Flora are both as bad as each other, just in slightly different ways. That's why they are both Canada's worst driver.
It's fair. I think my driving skills need to be improved. I need more practice.
In rehab, we made sure Flora was constantly practicing. But she was never able to make the improvements we were hoping for.
You suck.
Flora is Canada's worst driver. And the worst part of that is that when Flora leaves rehab, she's going to keep driving in the city of Edmonton. And Frank is going to be her teacher.
Get in! Rush! Left!
I will drive with my husband. He will teach me more.
Kevin is also Canada's worst driver, and he also vows to keep driving in public.
You're not in the turning lane. You're not in the turning lane.
Rehab has taken me this far. I have to continue the journey.
Kevin's journey might just end up in hospital. Or even worse. We tried to teach Kevin.
Nice.
But throughout his time in rehab, Kevin only passed 2 challenges. And he often blamed it on his glass eye.
That is what it looks like when it's out.
Having no right side peripheral vision does not make Kevin a bad driver.
I see it.
But never turning his head properly to see what's on his blind side does make Kevin Canada's worst driver.
Did you look at this lane at all when you merged?
I feel defeated right now.
I feel worried. Instead of there being just one Canada's worst driver, this year there's 2.
What can I tell you?
I don't like having a tie, but I just couldn't decide. Which one did you think was Canada's worst driver?